Paddle to the Sea, the last three chapters, 25, 26, and 27. Chapter 25, Rivers in the Sea. Spring came again with new leaves like crumpled lace in the maples, and Paddle was 3 years old. True to her promise, the old lady took Paddle to the river and set him free again. A few weeks later, Paddle passed the high bluffs of Quebec. Then came mountains. The river widened and forest lined the shores. Strange fish swam by in water that was now salty. French fishermen caught long eels by thousands, but Paddle had not yet reached the sea. The river, now as wide as Lake Michigan, ran into the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Now he encountered tides. He was stranded on a rock for 6 hours while the water slipped away. Then for another 6 hours, the water rushed back, swept him off his perch, raced him miles upstream. He had been caught in the battle of river current and sea tide, a battle that had been going on endlessly since the world began. After this, Paddle was out of sight of land for months. He caught the Gulf Stream, a warm, wide river in the sea running from the Gulf of Mexico along the American coast and northeast towards Europe. Then he ran into fog and a gray shadow of land. This was Newfoundland, and here Paddle met another river in the sea, the icy Labrador current that sweeps down from the Arctic, hits the tropic stream, and causes fogs. Paddle passed fishing boats and countless fish brought to the famous Grand Banks of Newfoundland by the Labrador current. Paddle had reached the most famous fishing ground in the world, and he had reached the sea. Chapter 26. Paddle finds a new friend. Somewhere off the Grand Banks, a French boat with a full cargo of fish was under sail for home. The captain noticed an odd little something near the bow. A boy ran down to the deck. "I'll get it, Papa." He waved an old dip net fashioned to a pole, and so, in the foggy gray dawn, up came Paddle to the Sea. The boy's father was a man who knew many things, and as he cleaned the copper plate under the canoe, he was filled with wonder, for he could read Paddle's trail. With his son beside him, he traced the long journey on a chart. He could only guess at part of it and could not know it all. The boy looked at Paddle, lashed by fish line above his bunk, wave and winded warm smooth, and there was little of his second coat of paint left. But he still smiled, and the boy liked his smile. It made Paddle look as though he had seen many things and understood them all. "A long journey you have had," the boy would say. "Now you are on a ship. Do you hear the wind in the rigging? Do you feel the roll of the waves? Do you know that you are sailing across a great ocean to France? Are you not surprised?" But Paddle never showed surprise. For 4 years he had been what he had supposed to be, a paddle to the sea. He had done what he was supposed to do, and he showed no surprise, even at crossing the ocean. Chapter 27. On a Wharf. It was spring in Nippon country north of Lake Superior. Among the swirling river, the air was sweet and the smell of pine and green growing things. 3 men stood on a wharf in a town near a sawmill. "Why doesn't that good-for-nothing guy get here?" said one, fussing with his fishing tackle. "I made a long journey from the city to catch trout." "Oh, that guy, he comes sometimes," said the second, a French-Canadian lumberjack. "He went on cutting the strings from a bundle of newspaper." "But you talk about a long journey. You see these papers? Just now in the mail. She comes from my cousin in France. By Jove, that one real long journey knows." And he lit his pipe, unrolling the papers on an overturned box. "U.S. Frenchmen's. We get lonesome for mail that speaks French," he continued with a sigh. Suddenly he stopped. "By Jove," he gasped. "You see that? Look at that picture." "What's the matter?" said the other, looking up. Photograph of a toy, little Indian in a canoe. Yeah, he's cute." "Cute? It's a wonderful look. The papers, she say, this little man floats from Nippon country down Great Lakes to St. Lawrence Gulf. French fish boat, she pick him out of the ocean and take him here to my cousin's town. And by Jove, you know what? I am the one who saved him from the saws. By all the saints, I did. Me. Years back, I put him in the river. Oh, I must tell my Henri. By Jove, you talk about a long journey. The third man on the wharf saw a young Indian, tall and strong, in his moccasins. He moved so silently across the dock that they otherwise did not hear him. He took one look over the Frenchman's shoulder at the paper. You put him back in the river and sent him on? Good. I made that one, he said softly and turned away. The young man had stepped into his canoe before the Frenchman spoke. What did that Indian just say? He said, laying the paper down. Didn't hear him, replied the sportsman. Both of them glanced towards the river, but the canoe was already moving away under steady strokes of the paddle. So the two men returned to their own important thoughts. In the canoe, the Indian smiled. Once he paused in a stroke and rested his blade. For an instant, he looked like his own paddle. There was a song in his heart. It crept to his lips, but only the water and the wind could hear. Yo, little traveler, you made the journey, the long journey. You know the things I have yet to know. You, little traveler, you are given a name, a true name in my Father's lodge. Good medicine, little traveler. You are truly a paddle person, a paddle to the sea. Here's Paddle's long journey out to the sea. Paddle to the Sea by Holly Clancy Holly.